go, across the world, right? So right now things are tense because nuclear talks have stalled, and both Iran and U.S. are really flexing their military muscles right now. They're basically trying to pressure each other without actually starting a war. So right now, UNC Chapel Hill professor Pabat is joining us right now. Professor, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Can you just kind of explain to our viewers what is going on and why these tensions are continuing to escalate?
Sure. So the issue that is being focused on right now between the United States and Iran, and there are several issues that the United States and Iran have in dispute. The issue is focusing on a nuclear deal. For the viewers that may not know, in 2015, a nuclear deal was struck between the United States and Iran called the JCPOA. The Trump administration pulled out of that in its first term and is now seeking another version of that deal, which is attempting to limit Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons, and that's through enrichment. So what the United States is demanding, in effect, is that that Iran give up all of its ability to enrich uranium. Iran doesn't want to do that. So there are some negotiations over how much of that capability Iran can keep. But it looks like the United States has struck a pretty hard line, demanding that Iran surrender a considerable amount, if not all of it, which is something Iran's not willing to accept. And so what that's led to now is the possibility that the United States may act again against Iran. It acted earlier this year or earlier last year in an effort in cooperation with Israel to strike at some Iranian nuclear reactors. So it looks like there might be another action. The U.S. has put considerable assets into the theater, and it looks like there may, the Trump administration has said there's a 10-day timeline to decide whether or not diplomacy is going to work or if there's going to be a military strike. So we're just, again, the buildup looks like it's happening, which is obviously a source of considerable concern in the region.
Now, I know, with these military buildups, right, and kind of flexing, really, why is this kind of risky, as history has shown us?
Yeah, so it's risky in part because since as these operations continue, there's always some risk of accident that can happen. Now, I think U.S. forces are very well disciplined, so from their end, I think that things should be okay. But again, you don't know what will happen when U.S. forces are engaging others. So again, that is a risk. That's something may go wrong. The other risk that's worth mentioning that's quite significant is that Iran mentioned recently that it was planning on closing the Strait of Hormuz, which is a important waterway where about a fifth of the world's energy comes out of that waterway and enters the market. There's energy coming there from Saudi, there's energy coming there from Iran, there's energy coming from a lot of Gulf players. And so cutting that waterway off would be a very significant blow to the global economy in terms of energy prices. It's not clear if they actually did it or not, but they said that they were intending to, and that alone, I think, has spooked investors and pushed the price of oil up. So again, a large shock to the price of oil globally, despite transitions away from oil, would be very significant and would be a considerable harm, I think, to many throughout the world.
So kind of talk to us about what happens next. I know, right, you're saying, we really just want to have diplomacy here and talk about things. But if a strike does happen, does that mean all-out war?
Well, I think Iran would certainly interpret it that way. So Iran had been hesitant to respond in a large way to the joint strikes between Israel and the United States for several months ago. It did not use all of its capability to try to respond, which I think has been interpreted by the Trump administration that Iran is considerably weak. And then we add to that that there are significant protests against Iran. This looks like Iran is in considerable trouble. You add to their economic problems, and they are in a vulnerable state. But one thing to think about is that if the regime is pushed into such a vulnerable state, it may do all it can. Since if we can think about the analogy to a wounded animal, it may act in a way that's desperate and may use its assets to try to respond. And it is believed to have some considerable ones. And even if it doesn't have a nuclear weapon yet, which we don't believe it does, it still has enough rocket capability where it could hit targets that the United States has in theater, along with Saudi Arabia, along with other Gulf allies. So again, if it does lash out, this would be a considerable, this would be a difficult operation. I think the Trump administration is planning for not just a few days, but for some weeks of strikes. So all of that would wear on the region for sure, and it would certainly weigh on the global economy.
Absolutely. What does this, Professor, remind you of, especially in history? Because I know that this has kind of happened several times where we've had these gunboat diplomacies. So is there one that sticks out for you that this reminds you of?
I actually think so. For me personally, again, the U.S. has had lots of instances of gunboat diplomacy in the past where it's sent ships into theater with an effort to try to coerce, as have other countries. For me, this actually is reminding me more of Iraq in 2003, which again is given the U.S. history there is a concern, and I think part of the reason is that if there is a strike on Iran, if that happens. I'm not sure what happens after that or what the goal is or how we define success. And so maybe that information will come out over the next several days. But again, that part is sort of concerning to me, especially if we add into the fact that if we look at size-wise, Iran is much larger than Iraq was, or Iraq is, and it's a considerably more difficult terrain with its mountains. And the United States no longer has assets in Afghanistan to sort of go on both sides. So there's a lot of reasons, I think, to be concerned about a potential long-term operation in Iran and what that looks like.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us that clarity there. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.